Verma and Vice Principal McDonald, thank you for welcoming us here this morning. I know the end of August is always busy as you get ready to welcome kids back, and while every year is different, this September will be unlike any you've had to deal with before. Parents and staff are anxious about what the school year may hold. As a dad and as a former teacher, I get that. We all want what's best for our kids, including a good education. School matters. I got to see that firsthand when I was in front of the classroom, and that's why the tools we give to young people now to keep them safe, to allow them to be successful in the years to come in a world that is changing, a world that right now is more changed and more transformed than we've seen in a long time. Getting them back to school safely and making sure them and their parents are confident about what they're doing and how they're doing it really, really matters. Just a few minutes ago, I had the chance to sit down with Joanne Luong and Fong Bui. They have 4 kids, and they were telling me that they're worried about sending them back to school. Like every parent, Joanne and Fong want to make sure their children are safe. But as owners of their own business, it's also hard to juggle work with the kids at home. This is something that a lot of parents, especially mothers, are facing right now. Our children must be safe in the classroom. That's non-negotiable. No parent should be losing sleep because they have to go back to work but aren't confident schools are properly prepared. Ce sont mes collègues, les premiers ministres des provinces,
the premiers of the provinces are responsible for ensuring the safety of our children in the classroom and that of our teachers on the job. But our government will be there to support them. As I've said before, the provinces and the territories must make decisions based on public health advice and not because of budgetary matters. So we put our words into action by providing federal funding to help them. Our government already pledged to invest the historic amount of $19 billion in the Safe Restart Agreement with the provinces and territories. We did that to provide to Canadians the support that they need. We always promise to be there for Canadians, and that is exactly what we are doing. But of course, there is still much work to be done. Today, we are therefore taking another step forward.
I spoke with premiers about the upcoming school year. They're working hard to protect our kids, but this year is challenging and like no other. That's why today I can announce that the federal government is investing up to $2 billion in school safety for the coming year. This money, which will flow through the new Safe Return to Class Fund, will help keep students and teachers safe as schools reopen. Our children must always be our top priority as parents and as governments. Once people know their kids are safe, they can get back to work with less worries. Education is, of course, a provincial jurisdiction, and I told the premiers yesterday that we absolutely respect that. What we're announcing today is designed to support provinces and territories in the best way possible. Our government is here to help. We've made this funding flexible, so provinces and ultimately schools can use it for what they need most, from hand sanitizer to remote learning. On top of this new funding, we're also investing $112 million in schools in First Nation communities. This money will help those communities safely open their schools with proper supports for students, parents, and educators. I want to thank everyone who has helped bring this new Safe Return to Class Fund together. Over the past week, I've heard clearly from Liberal MPs across the country, as well as directly from concerned parents, asking us to see just what the federal government can do to help keep our kids safe. So in his very first days as Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Minister LeBlanc and I talked about this, and he reached out to folks across the country. And again, I want to thank members of caucus, including and especially Kirsty and Judy, here with us today, who've been a driving force to get more help to parents and kids. Also, yesterday, when I sat down with Dr. Tam, back to school was one of a number of things that we talked about to prepare for the fall. School safety is top of mind for all of us right now. No matter where they live, students must be safe in their classrooms. Teachers and staff must be safe on the job. And parents must be confident that they can get back to work. Aujourd'hui, je peux annoncer que
Today,
notre
I can announce
gouvernement
that our
investit
government
jusqu'à
is investing up to $2 billion in the new Safe Return to Class Fund. We are doing that to keep our young people and their teachers safe over the next school year. This support is flexible, and therefore the provinces and ultimately the schools will be able to use the money to meet their specific needs, whether it is for hand sanitizer or for remote learning. Over the next weeks, we will be working hand in hand with the provinces and territories so that they can get the money as quickly as possible. We are also investing $112 million in First Nations schools. That money will help them to reopen their schools safely and provide the necessary support to students, parents, and teachers. I want to extend my thanks to all those who helped to develop the Safe Return to Class Fund. Over the last week, I have clearly heard from Liberal members of Parliament from right across the country, but also directly from concerned parents who have been asking what the federal government could do to ensure that their children would be safe. In his very first days as Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Dominique and I discussed this. He did the necessary follow-up with the caucus in order to develop this plan. And when I met with Dr. Tam yesterday, our conversation mainly dealt with the return to school and preparation for this fall. Together, we found creative solutions so that the Government of Canada could help our families and ensure that our children are safe.
At our First Minister's meeting yesterday afternoon, the Premiers and I discussed the measures we're taking to keep Canadians safe in the weeks and months to come. That includes today's federal support for schools and progress on everything from personal protective equipment to help for the most vulnerable. Fighting COVID-19 is a Team Canada effort, and we're all committed to continuing this work together into the fall. Je remercie les premiers ministres de leur collaboration dans plusieurs projets importants.
Cooperation on a number of significant projects in recent months. As you know, fighting COVID-19 has always required cooperation from everyone across the country. In the coming days and weeks, I know we will be ready to move forward together. Thank you very much for being here, and I'm now ready to take your questions.
We'll start the question period over to the phone today with 3 questions, 1 follow-up. Opératrice, c'est à vous.
Merci. Please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. Notre première question est de Hélène Buzetti du Devoir. À vous la parole.
Oui, bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau.
Good morning, Mr. Trudeau. Now, given that this is an area of provincial jurisdiction, and if you don't have that $2 billion and have to actually borrow it, what can you do if the provinces feel they need more money than that? Well, we clearly heard across the country that parents are concerned about the return to school. I know that the provinces are all focused on developing plans for a safe return, but parents are still concerned. So we decided to explore how the federal government could provide some support. We recognize that this is an area of provincial jurisdiction, but the fact is there are real and extreme needs out there. So we decided to provide that money to the provinces so that they could do even more to protect parents and ensure that the economic recovery, the return to school, and the next few months when we're still living with COVID-19 will go ahead as best as possible. This is a decision we made to help families in Canada.
Mais
I understand, but you don't actually have that money. So why does it have to be added to the federal debt instead of the provincial debt? It leaves the impression that you believe that what the provinces are doing is not enough. And some people are saying that you are trying to buy the support of people without jobs. Well, the fact is that if you've been listening to parents right across this country, you know that there's practically nothing else that people are talking about these days. Everyone has questions about the reopening of our schools and how that's going to work across the country. Yes, there are provinces where things are doing better where in terms of COVID-19, but there's also the possibility of a second wave. And we have recognized that even though this is not a federal responsibility, we can help. We made a promise to Canadians right at the beginning of this pandemic. We promised to be there for people who needed help. And we've seen that the needs are there for our parents. So supporting the provinces and giving them more resources so that they can really do everything that's needed to ensure the safety of our children, we believe that that's something critical.
Merci. Opératrice, prochaine question.
Merci. Thank you. The next question is from Laura Stone from the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead.
Hi, Prime Minister. Good morning. You're announcing this money a couple of weeks and in some cases days away from schools reopening. So why didn't you make this money available sooner? And can you respond to criticisms that you are trying to make your government look like a political savior by swooping in at the last minute?
I think we recognize, and I've always deeply recognized and followed the principles of our Constitution that says that K-12 education is a provincial responsibility. And even as a teacher and a parent, I've recognized that that is something we're best leaving in the hands of the provinces. However, over the past week or so, I've heard from so many Liberal MPs, so many parents across the country who are still extremely worried about how that reopening is going to go. Now, we've seen the provinces put forward plans for that reopening, and they are confident that they're doing what is necessary, but parents were still concerned. So we said, let's give the provinces even more resources to be able to do everything that is necessary to keep our kids safe. Now, what they choose to do will be up to them and the conversations they have with parents and with citizens in their provinces. But we know that there is more to do to ensure that parents aren't anxious or aren't as anxious about the return to class. We have no intention, and we had no intention of interfering in provincial areas of jurisdiction. That's why this money coming in to be able to top up the plans that the premiers have set forward is going to be something that will give people confidence, not just in the safety of their kids, but in their ability to get back to work and our economy to get going once again.
Following up, Laura.
And Prime Minister, you're making this announcement in the Toronto area. Obviously, there have been some vocal critics of Ontario's plan, particularly around class sizes. So are you saying with this money that Ontario's back-to-school plan is not good enough? And do you expect the Ford government to use it primarily to lower class sizes?
As I said, we've heard from parents right across the country who are concerned about sending their kids back to school. So this is money that is going to help right across the country in every province and territory. Also, like I said, we fully respect provincial jurisdiction over education. This money is there to help keep our kids safe, but the provinces will determine the best way to make sure that this money is spent in ways that keep our citizens and our kids safe.
Thank you. Operator, last question on the phone.
Thank you. Merci. La prochaine question est de Lina Dib de la Presse canadienne. À vous.
Oui, bonjour.
Yes.
Pour revenir sur la question du temps que ça vous a pris pour annoncer cet argent-là, dans votre communiqué, vous parlez de la possibilité de changer les systèmes d'aération. M. Trudeau, les enfants au Québec ont déjà commencé à rentrer dans les écoles. Je pense pas qu'on va se mettre à refaire le système d'aération maintenant. Ça aurait pu être fait en juillet, en août. Alors, pouvez-vous m'expliquer pourquoi vous avez attendu si longtemps? Est-ce que c'est parce que c'était une question de compétence et vous ne vouliez pas piler sur les pieds des provinces?
Comme j'ai dit,
step
la
on the
question
province's
compétence
toes?
est extrêmement
Well, as I
importante
said,
pour nous
the
et
question
on
of jurisdiction
reconnaît
is
que
very
les
important
provinces
to
ont
us.
mis sur
We
pied
recognize that the
leur plan
provinces
pour
have established their
recommencer de
own
façon
plans
sécuritaire,
to safely
l'année
reopen
scolaire.
their schools and start the school year. At the same time, in recent weeks, we have clearly heard about the concerns of parents who believe there needs to be more support, and the provinces, as I said, have already established their plans, and parents are asking for more. So we don't want to tell the provinces what they need to do, but we want to ensure that they have the necessary resources to lower the level of anxiety among parents. So it's really just a recognition that even with the plans put in place by the provinces, parents remain concerned. And we believed that this would be a way of helping the provinces to do even better in terms of reducing that anxiety. A follow-up? Yes, thank you. I come back to my question. Isn't it a little bit too late to be calming down parents? Other than buying soap or disinfectant, the schools are already open, so how will that money really help? Well, first of all, I have a great deal of confidence in the provinces and the schools when it comes to using more resources to help their students. We also recognize that as the school year begins, there could be a second wave of the virus. And that means that those resources will help in doing things that may not be a priority or that may not seem necessary now, but that will become necessary in mid-September or late in October. So we want to ensure that the provinces have more resources to protect young people. And I think this is something that all parents and all people understand right across the country.
Prime Minister Brian Lilly, Toronto Sun. We're going to be in this anxious position until there's a vaccine or treatment for COVID-19. Yesterday, Dr. Tam was speaking extensively about vaccines, but there was a piece in Maclean's written by Dr. Amir Adaran of the University of Ottawa School of Epidemiology and Public Health saying that your government has let Canadians down because we're the only Western country not to have purchased in advance one of the vaccines that's heading into phase 3 trials. Can you tell us the status of any purchase of vaccines and why your government went that route as opposed to trying to buy the Oxford vaccine or anything else?
We've actually signed a number of deals with potential vaccine producers around the world. The issue is nobody yet has a vaccine and nobody knows who's going to develop the vaccine. So like many, many countries around the world, we're working with a range of partners to ensure that when someone does find a vaccine, Canadians will have access to it. There is a lot of research going on here in Canada and elsewhere around the world that we are focused on making sure that we are working with so that Canadians can be protected, and also to recognize that there is going to be a need for vaccines all around the world, including in the developing world where COVID is hitting extremely hard, that is not top of mind for all countries, but Canada is part of global efforts to ensure that there are vaccines produced in a large enough number, not just for Canadians, but for people around the world.
Hello, Prime Minister. I'm with the York West Advocate, which is our local paper right here in this community. So I would like to congratulate you on giving significant funds to provinces to assist them in improving their schools and their bus fleets so they can have smaller classrooms and less students on buses. So, but education is not a provincial responsibility, but big telecom is. And lower rates and high speed on the internet is important for students at home and in school, because after COVID, a lot of kids are using, and parents and adults are using the internet also for education. Could you comment on your future consideration of big media?
It is not just a question of investing in digital access and broadband access for Canadians in the future. It's about investing in it right now. We've made significant investments over the past years, particularly in underserved areas that are often rural or remote, but we recognize that data charges and the cost of cell phones has been a real challenge for Canadians over the past many years. That's why we made commitments around reducing their cell phone bills by 25%, why we've moved forward on greater investments and partnerships with companies that are ensuring that people have better access to this digital future we're all part of. We know that online activity, online business, online learning is going to be increasingly important in the coming years, and Canadians need to have that full access right across the board, and that's what we're working on.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Marie Morrissey, CBC. If you can please answer in both English and in French. Is this announcement today meant to pay for what the provinces have already announced, or is this extra money to pay for extra measures?
This is incremental funding. This is money that will go towards some of the things that the provinces hadn't moved forward with already. We wanted to make sure that resources weren't an overly limiting factor in doing things to keep our kids safe. We've heard very clearly from parents over the past weeks the level of anxiety they have, and extra measures that provinces can put forward to make sure that kids are safe is what will be available for with these funds. Nous reconnaissons à quel point les parents sont inquiets.
We recognize that parents are worried, and even with the plans that provinces have put in place, that anxiety remains. So this money is intended to allow them to take additional measures to reassure parents and to ensure that our kids are safe during the school year.
Hello, Prime Minister. My name is Salman Faruqi. I'm from the Canadian Press. An independent panel set up to oversee the use of solitary confinement in federal prisons says it has been blocked doing its work by Correctional Services Canada. How do you respond to concerns this raises about the treatment of prisoners, and will you add some other kind of oversight, such as judicial oversight?
Obviously, it was really important for us to follow through on our commitment to end administrative and disciplinary segregation, which we've moved forward on. But the concerns brought forward by the panel, of course, are things that we're taking seriously. I know Minister Blair and Corrections Canada are engaging on this issue, and we'll have more to say in the coming days.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Lena Latifat from CP24. I want to ask you, were premiers across this country consulted, and how will this money be rolled out, and how will it be divided?
Yesterday, I had the opportunity to have my 17th First Ministers meeting since the beginning of the COVID crisis back in March. This was an opportunity to highlight our desire to help out the premiers in an area that is very much their jurisdiction of keeping kids safe in schools. So we put forward $2 billion in a way that is entirely flexible so that they can do the things that are necessary to keep kids safe in their jurisdictions across the country. What we've asked for is that come December, they tell us what they did with the money, how they kept kids safe, so that we can release the second half of this money. This is something that will allow the money to flow quickly and to do those extra things that will reassure parents that their kids are safe in terms of that. The decision we made on how to divide the money across the country was very straightforward. We looked at Statistics Canada's numbers for Canadians between the ages of 4 and 18, and that is how we divided the money in a fair way with a $2 million base rate, if you want to get into the technical details of it. But the premiers were very pleased with this funding going forward, and have are certainly intending to make sure that kids are kept safe with it.
Hi, Prime Minister. Ashley Legasic from News Talk 1010. Do you truly think it's realistic that with less than 2 weeks to go until kids are back in class, that this money is coming at a good enough time, and that it can be divided provincially and then regionally in a matter of less than 2 weeks?
The reality is the provinces all put forward plans for the safe restart with their best experts, with their resources, to make sure that they were confident that school schools were going to restart carefully. They've been working on that properly. They've been working on those plans, obviously, for the past months. What we realized when we saw the level of anxiety and preoccupation that parents across the country had still, even with those plans in place, we realized that we could give the provinces even more resources. Some of it could go forward right away. Some of it might be able to help out if there's a second wave later in the fall. These are the kinds of things that we know Canadians need to see their provinces acting on, and giving this money to them in order to keep our kids safe is a way for the federal government to be there to help in an area that is provincial jurisdiction. We respect the Constitution, but we needed to find a way to be there for Canadians, and that's exactly what we've done. Since the beginning of this pandemic, we made a commitment to have Canadians back through this pandemic, and that's exactly what we're continuing to do today.
Thank you, Prime Minister. This concludes today's press conference. C'est ce qui met fin à la conférence de presse d'aujourd'hui.
Merci tout le monde.
We were listening live there together on CBC News Network. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau at a school gymnasium in Toronto investing up to $2 billion in school safety, calling it his Safe Return to Class Fund. So this will be meted out to the provinces and territories based on the per capita of students in that region. And the Prime Minister saying that funding is flexible, so provinces, territories can decide how they want to use it, along with decision makers in the school boards.